Hello, I'm Pearl Pereira. Welcome to my sewing room. My pattern business is P3 Designs, and I am working on a new quilt, and it's called Into the Woods. As I'm working on this quilt, I am showing tips and techniques that I'm doing as I'm making my quilt. Today, I'm going to be talking about block number 12, and it's the fox from the Fox and the Chickadee block. So let's get started with the demo. Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about block number 12. And block number 12 is called the Fox and the Chickadee. As I was working on this, I just wanted to show you how to make these nice sharp corners when two pieces of fabric come together. Now, this is one of the ways that I do it, and it's one that I like quite a bit. You can see I did it here on the neck, and I did it here with the leg. I also did it with the rear leg and foot, and I'll be doing it on the front leg and foot, and the tail. And the tail is a little bit different, so I'll show you what that's like. I turned this edge of the tail only because what happens when you do this is you want to turn the top fabric, because this is a higher number, where it touches the lower fabric along that edge. So you are just turning that seam allowance, nothing else. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come to your pattern and you're going to lay this on your pattern and find the perfect position for it. I can check underneath here to make sure that I have my template in the exact position that it's supposed to go in. And once I have that, then I will put 2 pins in here to make sure that it doesn't swivel. Now I'm going to insert the lower fabric, which is number 8. And sometimes I leave this unturned and I turn all the way around the outside edge all at one time, except for this fabric frayed a lot. So I wanted to get these concaves turned and make sure that I was going to be able to turn these and that they were not going to fray on me. So I did that edge first. And I'm going to put this in here and I'm finding the position of where the tail is supposed to be placed by lining up the outer edge of the tail here. Another thing is that you might notice that sometimes on my patterns in my fabric requirements, it'll say a batik. And when it says that, that really is a clue to you, because if I'm using a batik in there, that means it's intricate, it has small shape, and it's best to use a fabric that doesn't fray very much. So now that I have both of these pieces pinned with 2 pins each so they won't swivel, now I can come over here and I can flip up this edge so that I can put my basting glue on here. And my basting glue, I can use either my Roxanne's glue base from my little applicator, or you can use the Roxanne glue base stick. And sometimes I like to use this because I can get less glue. I can just get the amount of glue that I want to hold my piece together. Oh my gosh. That was my doorbell. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the Roxanne's glue base on the stick applicator so that I can just get a light coating of glue on these places and not get big globs of glue. Although sometimes you do get a lot of glue with this, but most of the time you just get the amount that you need. I'm going to place this down because it should go exactly where it's supposed to go because everything's pinned in place. And then I'm going to hit it with the iron so that it will dry quickly, because now I want to finish ironing the rest of my piece. And this way I can show you what a finished edge actually looks like. So now I'm going to remove this, and you can see that it's held together. You can see where I have seam allowance over here to turn on both sides. Both of my templates are there. And now what I'll do is I'll come over here and make sure that my piece is all ironed down. And I'm going to come into this concave over here and I'll be clipping. My rule is keep your clips about the distance of the thickness of your stiletto away from the paper, which actually means that you usually have to put a few more clips because you're not getting as close to the template. And what that does, it just makes it so that when you turn these shapes, you have an intact seam allowance right here. And you'll see that in a second. So now I need my brush and my stiletto. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to iron this edge so you can see how nicely this goes together. Now concaves are wonderful because you can just let the iron just scoop around there and pull that in. You just kind of help it a little bit with your stiletto. But what I think you can see when you're looking at this is that you can see that because I kept my clips away from the edge, that I have a complete seam allowance right here. And I don't have a raw edge there because if you clip too close, then you'll end up with raw edges here. So the distance of the thickness of your stiletto is perfect. It just means you need to take a few more clips in there. Now this was a long, wide concave anyway, and you would have done a lot of clips in there, but probably not as many as I did. But it's best to have a few more, but don't make fringe out of your piece. You know, you need enough so that your piece will turn. There we go. And I'm approaching the area where the two fabrics came together. And I'm going to get my seam allowance only damp over here. And then I will pull this up over the edge and continue to iron this shape until I bring this. Now when I get to this edge over here, I am going to be pulling that seam allowance really tight to the white fabric because I want that to stay nice and secure on that white fabric, and I want this to dry quickly, and then I can show you how nice and skinny and clean this edge is here by doing this technique. So I hope that this will help you when it comes to your time, to when you're making your block, and I hope that you will watch all of the blocks as I post them, and you'll be seeing the sneak peeks of what's going in my blocks. The pattern will be published, I would say, end of December to 2022, or maybe the 1st of January. But I will keep you abreast on that as we go along. I'm going to continue to post these little tips as we go along, and I hope that by doing this you'll have a nice little library of tips and techniques that you can use when you're making your blocks. So keep stitching. Have a great day. Thank you.